people always wonder, I wonder how do the bugs live? Right?
Well, now they know. You know, you've been telling us how much of a genius you are.
I have not said.
It's been taking up a lot of time.
I have not said anything about me being a genius. I have only repeated the people who have spoken up and released the state of my genius.
Yeah, the people you paid.
Where am I? What's my grade? Be honest, tell the people the truth.
If I have to give you an adequate, I'm gonna say you are 5.
Hold on for a second.
Well, a true confession moment. As much as it pains me to admit this, I freaking suck at apologies. I've shared with him, I said, Holton, I really think we need to cover apologies because they go hand in hand with the fair fight rules. People are fighting because they don't know how to apologize or they are refusing to apologize.
All right, there we go. Hello, world. What is happening?
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Another Sunday in the house. We are back, and they have not taken us off the internet yet.
Well.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Right? Yet. So how we doing out there? Facebook. We've been doing this on Facebook Live. A few people have been slipping in on the Zoom. But we got it on Facebook Live for a reason, because obviously Facebook, you can get all of your stats and we can record and keep all this stuff and we can see all the comments all in one place. So that's why we're there. But let us know where you're calling in from. I hope you guys are ready for a happy Sunday. And let us know where you are actually tuning in from. See here. See where the people are coming from. All right, Harlem, New York. We've got, is that Kahalini? They're from Hawaii. All right, I will say that Kenny Lum is from, oh no, that's the person. That's not where they're from. But that's a Hawaiian name, I would say. I think that's a Hawaiian name. Am I right, Kenny Lum? That's a Hawaiian name. The other name that's there, okay. Cyprus is there. Montreal is on fire. We got H-Town in the house with Cynthia Cook. All right. Princess Wales in the Dallas, Texas is in the house. Nashville, Tennessee's in the house. Seattle's in the house. All right, we got people all over in the house. We're going to jump right on into it today because we have been, certain people
hope to.
You know what I'm saying? Certain people that's a part of this show.
I'm the only other person here.
I didn't know you were going to take responsibility. I'm just saying certain people who's a part of this show have been taking up time and going over because of this thing called research.
No, that's not true.
People have been doing research. You know, around here, I
have been doing research, but I have not been taking up extra time because of the research.
Well, I had to stop the call last week in the middle of all of this newfound research and preparation and all of this educated stuff that people want to do.
You had to stop the call.
Yeah, I had to stop the call. I had to apologize to the people. We told the people we're going to take an hour of their time. But with all your research and these books.
No, they wanted a part 2, so.
Right, that's why we had to have a part 2 because part 1 couldn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, babe, this is an important topic. And by the way, you should have some. Where's your paper and your pen and pad?
Oh, I did my own research.
I didn't see you Google nothing.
I have done a lot of research, and I do research my own way. All right.
What did you do research on? How not to apologize?
See, you're starting already. And
I'm just asking a legitimate
these people
question.
came. They wanted to hear some quality, and they wanted to hear some stuff.
Yeah, no, and we're gonna get. Okay, sir. Why don't you do a recap? Did you learn anything last week?
Yeah.
Oh, what did you do?
Hold on for a second. Let me just talk to the people for a second. And then I'll kind of regurgitate my learnings.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I came on here, guys. I came on here to give her some props. Okay?
Oh my God.
Yes. I came up here to give you some props
for today.
I'm going to give you some props. If you don't mess it up, you will get some props. You will get some props.
Okay.
If she doesn't mess it up. Anyway, we are here. We're back this Sunday. And I know a lot of you out there are kind of finding your way now, right? I know a lot of people have been like, just excited because they can at least go outside. It's kind of like, you remember when you were like in 3rd grade or 4th grade? Mm-hmm. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And you remember how bad you used to be in class?
No, I was never bad in class.
You weren't bad?
No, I was an angel. Yeah, model student.
Well, certain people, part of this show, I'm not going to say who it is, they used to be bad in class.
That would be you.
And stop putting my business in the street.
I'm just saying.
And, there would be a thing called recess. And I never forget watching my friends out there playing kickball, right? And
why? Because you was in timeout?
Yep. Yep. And I would sit there and I would beg my teacher. I would be like, I said, Miss Davis, I promise I'm not going to hit her. I'm not going to hit her in the back of the head with a pencil again. I won't do that no more. I promise. I've learned my lesson. And I wanted to go play kickball, and Miss Davis would not let me go play kickball.
Miss Davis was a smart lady.
Yes, I don't know about all of that because I wanted to play kickball and I was a great athlete and I was really good at kickball. Matter of fact, that kickball scholarships, you might be right now, you might be married to a professional kickball player.
Well, they have soccer, that's close.
I'm not talking about soccer.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about kickball, where you kick the ball and you run bases like baseball. Mm-hmm. So kickball was different. I think I would have been a professional kickball player. Hundreds of millions of dollars, $100 million contract, guaranteed.
Professional sport people.
I would have had it. I promise you that. Mm-hmm. Yep, I sure would have. Anyway, I used to sit in class and I would be like, man, I should think about all the stuff that I did wrong, just so I can go out and play kickball again.
I know that was a long thought, pretty long thought.
And I never forget when my punishment was over and I was able to play kickball and I would be able to come out and it seemed like freedom, And so I'm watching people now feel like they're having this little glimpse of freedom again. And
that's true.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's really good, right?
Because I was about to fall apart if I couldn't get my lashes back. I was going to need therapy, lash therapy.
How shallow?
That's not shallow. I mean, it's a part of me. What do you mean?
That's just shallow.
It's not shallow, honey.
Lashes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I did go get my feet done the other day.
Yeah. Well, so are you shallow?
No.
Oh, okay. So because a pedicure is different.
A pedicure is different.
I mean, it's just something you enjoy doing.
She told me the other day, I hadn't had a pedicure in a long time, so we're in the bed asleep. And she said, if I keep rubbing on her, I'm going to start a fire. So I had to go get a pedicure.
Why are you lying?
You did say that.
I did not say that. I didn't say anything remote close to that.
You did. Okay. So anyway, you asked me, did I have razor blades on my socks? Which one did you ask? What you ask? Anyway, I'm trying to stall right now because that's.
Why are you stalling?
Because all this research.
No, you're not stalling because of that. You're not. It's no way because you just told me you were prepared.
Okay. Anyway, so can I talk to people for a second?
What, as long as you're not telling them.
I'm not going to tell any of your business. I'm not going to put any of your business in the street. Hopefully, you guys can hear us really good. Anyway, so here's what I want. I think what's on my heart, and then we're going to get into all of this research that she's done. We'll give her the floor. All right. It's right now, we did this call. Welcome to the call. If you're here as a first timer, put it in the chat so we'll know that you are a first timer that's on here. And we want to recognize you. We don't have any money to give you because we don't have a high budget. We don't have all the budget. She's taking up the budget.
Doing what?
Don't you have somebody come here and work on your stuff before you get here?
Oh, work on what stuff?
Your hair,
Yeah, but what does that have to do with
because you took all the production budget. I've got that little 30-second commercial that I squeezed together, and I had some people to put that together, but sorry, we can't give you any, we can't send you anything, can't even send you a t-shirt or nothing like that, because the budget is real short over here for this show. And, but we just at least want to recognize your first timers. Somebody says first timer, Danielle, first timer. Carla says she's new. Who else is new over here? Chantel Presley is new. Who's that? Jatandra McDowell is new. Darlene is new. Welcome to the show. Is that LTN? LTN is new. Welcome everybody who's all new people from who's that? Reba Carter's new. Awesome. Now I have one bone to pick one person, but I'm gonna get to my message. There's a lady out there. I don't want to say her name, but it rhymes with Jolanda George. Don't be sending my wife no messages.
Why are you picking on Jolanda?
Because she's encouraging you to unleash on me.
You totally deserve it, Holton. You deserve it now.
No, I'm serious.
Don't be picking on my friend.
No, I'm a block her number from
you are not blocking her.
I'm a blocker.
Last week you had a problem with Eric Johnson, and you had a problem with the mayor.
Listen, me and the mayor talk.
Well,
me and the mayor are cool.
This has got to stop.
He said, HB, this is your city. He said, but you know how I had to finesse things. I said, no problem. Anyway, we got a big announcement that we're going to do. Not today, but we've got something really big. I was talking with the mayor last week on a side note, and we want to do something really cool. So we've got some stuff we're going to do here in the city of Houston for my city here. And we've been doing some stuff all around. We'll talk about that later. But here's the thing I want to share with you guys. People right now are going out, and you've got these mixed emotions about whether people should get back to work and stuff like that. Now, I'll tell you this. I learned something from my wife. Okay.
What? We need to mark this on the calendar, honey. You learned something from me.
I learned something from you.
Oh my God, yes. Do tell.
I learned something from you. We were talking, and the issue is we've got, and I don't, and my role on this call is not to come here and tell you what to do or whatever it is, just kind of shed light on my perspective on things. And we just keep it real. We keep it 100 here. So you've got people right now who say, well, we shouldn't go back to work. And you got people say, stay in, and we need to go back to work. People say, stay in. And what I'll tell you is this. I'll tell you how I don't believe neither side.
Okay.
This is me, how I feel. I don't believe Fox, CNN, MSNBC, none of the news stations. I don't live my life. That's not my occasional.
That's fair.
Okay. Because all of them are paid to speak an opinion of the owner of those particular channels. Okay. They can't get up there and speak their heart. Okay. So they're going to speak based off of what the owner says, and the owner is getting paid a lot of money from advertisers, and those people control what the owner agenda is. Right. That's just the real world of how things work. Okay. Right. So, we were watching it, and people were staying in, and we do know specifically that people, African Americans, were being affected in larger proportions. And so we'd see a lot of people saying, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. And then Earlene told me something. She said about our own personal situation. So I always tell people, get both sides or all three sides, and then determine for yourself what you're gonna do. Be smart on your own. Don't let anybody force you to do whatever it is because you're too lazy to do the research. So Earlene said, she said, she says, everybody that I know of who's saying stay at home, and she knows why, and we appreciate them, but they're saying it from their mansion. And that's not ridiculing them at all. They're saying it from their mansion and millions of dollars or whatever it is, and they're extremely wealthy. The majority of the ones that I've seen who have a voice, stay at home, stay at home. It's easy. It's easy for us to say stay at home in this mansion. It's easy. But she said, what if it wasn't us? And what if it was just my mom by herself? What if it was Holton, your mom? My mom never made more than $1,300 a month. And your mom never made more than $2,000 a month. Well, somewhere around there, right?
More, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't have an income.
And if we weren't subsidizing their lifestyle.
Yeah, and if we weren't taking care of them, what would happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand both sides. No, nobody wants to go out and do harm, but also, you know,
there's a third perspective.
There's a third perspective.
So I won't die from Corona if I stay at home, but I may die of starvation because I don't have any food or a roof over my head or a way to take care of my kids. So, you know, there is the cautious side of you that say, oh, you know, I want to be responsible with my health, but at the same time, there's also survival.
Exactly. And so it's just different, guys. It's different. It's I'll tell you one story and then we'll move on. But I want to share this. You know, we come on here and our goal is to just keep it real with you guys and share some of our perspective. I happen to be at one of our restaurants, and here's what I'd love for everyone to do. If I can do some good today, I'm going to give them the story, okay? And then we'll get into some other stuff. I went to my favorite restaurant, and it's called The Peeps right here in Houston. And we've been going there for 20 years, all right? And it used to be kind of like our office. We go all the time for breakfast, and they only serve breakfast and lunch. So I go to Le Peep, and we were about to go and sit down and eat. We called Ed. Ed was going to meet us over there, and I go in, and they're open, but they're not open for dining service. This was last week. And so we ordered to go. So I'm sitting there talking to Brian, who's the manager. I've known him for 10 years, that he's been there. So we're talking and he's giving me his opinion. I'm giving him, you know, my thought processes, and he's waiting on stimulus money. The company is, and they haven't gotten it. But all of these major big companies, billion-dollar companies, getting stimulus money for small businesses. But the small companies who are debt-free, doing things by the book, don't get it. And we're talking about that, right? Yeah. So here's what happens. I never forget, and this is what changed, this is what gave me an impact. This guy is pulling up and he says, here's one of my most loyal workers. So this guy drives up and he comes in, he's about barely 5 feet tall, he's about 98 pounds, and he had a backpack on, Latino gentleman. And he walks in, and I never forget the look on his face. He said, we open? And Brian looked at him again and said, no. He said, the guy comes every 2 days. And then the guy said, you don't have a check for me? And I'm using, you know, kind of his accent a little bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't have a check for me? Brian was like, no. And I'm sitting there like here, and Brian told me, he says, this guy has been working here ever since I've been here for 10 years. He's never missed a day, never been late, one of the most loyal people in the world. You know what this guy understands? He doesn't understand this coronavirus. He doesn't understand what's going on in the news. You know what this guy understands? I am in America. I come to work, and every 2 weeks I get a check. He doesn't understand that the coronavirus is taking his income away. Mm-hmm. Why? He wants to work. Right. And he wants to, and he's able and wants to work. Right. Mm-hmm. He's not looking for a stimulus check or whatever. He wants to go to work. And so it just hit me in some kind of way. I gave an extraordinarily large tip in terms of proportion to what our bill was. Our bill was $47. And I don't say this for bragging rights, but I tipped them $1,000, and I said, listen, take this and split this with the workers. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Why do I say it? Because here's what I want you to do. As companies open back up, I want you to recognize a lot of these waiters and waitresses out there, they haven't been working. Your valet people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your housekeepers. Tip them a little bit more than you tipped before. Mm-hmm. If everybody does a little bit more, okay, you'll notice how much of a difference you'll make. And those of you big ballers out there, I'm talking about big ballers, I don't want to see no $5 and $10 tips, okay? No 20%, okay? Go toe for toe. If you go out and eat a meal and your meal's $200 and you're eating out, tip them $200. Not every time that you go back, but just do it once and spread it around. And why? They've been out of work. And and some of them don't get stimulus because they've been working on tips. I don't know how it works, but I know what does work is just doing a little bit extra. It does work. Right, it really does. It makes a big difference. And so we're gonna play our part, and we do it every time we go out. And if you guys do something like that, that'd be incredible. And those of you, if you can't tip that much, it's not about the amount. It's about the amount of a difference that you can make. That's all it's about. And it's just about the principle of doing a little bit extra. If you're someone who hasn't been affected, because here in our boomerang, we have a lot to be grateful for. Yeah, we do.
Our employees weren't affected. We weren't affected. As a matter of fact, we had record months. I mean, I just feel like God has his hands around this company. We must be doing something right. And this is our philosophy. We do good. And good always comes back, but that's not the reason we do good. We do good because it's the right thing.
It's the right thing to do. Yeah. Right. You'll feel good about it too. And then your food, for some reason, will be fresher the next time you come. Tastes better, right?
That was a good story, honey.
It was. It's real stuff. All right, now let's get back to life over here. Last week we did a session on, we had a session on apologies last week. Okay, and I'm going to start off by saying we needed to do a part 2 because we didn't finish up because somebody brought the Library of Congress to this event, and so today is part 2. And last week, Ladybugs, she was graded fairly generous, I'll say. And on the scale of 1 to 10, she had a 3. You guys have no idea what my house has been like.
No, I
since last week.
No, I demand a retrial because I really feel like that is too much of a harsh grade for me. I deserve better than that.
So you're gonna demand?
Yeah, I demand a retrial. Ask anybody. I've totally gotten better.
Okay.
Now, I have really sucked in the past, but I have in the last week or 2 or couple of months. See,
now
I've gotten better.
Now here's the thing, guys. I promise you, we don't script this. You see these demands? I told y'all I did my research. And I want to let you know what it's like in the Bugs household when it comes to me having to apologize. Mark, let it roll, please.
Oh, no.
These are demands. These are demands.
I know you did not get a video.
Don't worry about it. I want Mark to roll it.
Which one?
Come on, Mark. You know which one. The demand video.
If you
better apologize. Where's my apology? This is what it's like in the Bugs household, and this is some of the research. Exhibit number 1. If you want to go to court, Your Honor, this is exhibit number 1.
If you have put,
This is what it's like.
When are you going to give me my apology? You owe me an apology. Say it. Say you're sorry. Well, then don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
I cannot believe you.
What? I did my research. That is my research.
That was your research. That's the one thing you looked up on the internet.
I was doing research. I'm a slow reader, so I only had a week.
And so you're saying I demand an apology like that?
If this was Yolanda George,
do not.
Hold on for a second. Let me hit delete. No, you better listen, Yolanda. I'm telling you, you better cut it out, okay? Well, I know she'd be pumping you up, all right?
Let me see what she said.
Fellas, does it work like that in your household?
She said you on 1 today.
Does it work like that in your household where you get an apology gets beat out of you?
No, Holton, no, that is, I was beating an apology out of you.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Well, I can't do anything about your
You see this scar?
Did you learn anything last week?
Yes, I learned something.
Why don't you give us a recap of what we talked about last week?
Okay, so last week we talked about apologies, and we talked about...
What is an apology?
An apology is recognizing your participation in the disappointment or the hurting of someone else. And the willingness to accept responsibility for your actions of participation in that act.
Well, at least you know what it is.
Right.
That's a good thing.
And so here's what we did. I did one other piece of research with Ladybug. She's going to go and pick this up and go to round 2. And I have more research, by the way. Okay. So she says, I think we should call Trey. You remember last week when she said she's the better parent? Okay, which was horrible. I think that makes her a horrible parent that she first calls my son and asks him, who's the better parent? Mm-hmm. So she calls Trey, and I said, don't call Trey.
Yeah, because you were so afraid he was going to agree with me. So you were completely against it.
Listen, I was not afraid he was going to agree with you.
Yes,
I didn't want your feelings to be hurt.
It was all about me.
So I was trying to protect you.
That is not
She
true.
calls Trey. Exhibit number 2, Your Honor.
I did not approve these exhibits.
So she says to Trey, she put him on speakerphone. Trey, out of me and Dad, who is better at apologizing? My son says, Mom, do you really want me to go there?
No, he did not.
What did he say? And then he says, Mom, you are real good at writing about apologies, but you're horrible at giving them.
Oh my God, I'm totally mad at him over that too, because that was not fair.
Right?
Yeah, he did say that though.
Yeah. Anyway, so we need to get to round 2. And should I go with any more of my exhibits or my research? You want to go ahead and start?
No, because we need to go over some really important things. So we need to catch the people up. Let's just take a couple of minutes for the people who are new. They weren't here last week, so they don't really know what to talk about.
Let's catch the people up. We have a special session today.
Why is the topic of an apology so important? We talked about this.
Right. You said the topic of apologies is so important because the fair fight rules, which we talked about, and we posted those, people don't know how to apologize. And so people end up fighting. And so last week, my wife she scored a 3 on apologies, and I had bumped her up 2 points.
Oh my God.
But I gave her, but here's the thing, she earned some extra credit.
Okay.
So I am here today to you took another test. Every week there's a test that gets passed.
Okay, well, that's my grade.
So you know what? Today I have to say, I am proud of you.
Okay. Proud of me, why?
Oh, that's it. I'm just proud.
Did I get extra points?
I gave them to you already. The 3, you gotta
no.
You gotta walk into it. You gotta
whatever.
You ever heard your mama say dress for the job that you want?
No.
You need to start acting like you were 3.
You are just horrible. Okay.
Act like you were 3.
You know I'm really a 6, to be honest. I'm a good solid 6.
So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I give her a 4. Let me tell you why. She sincerely apologized to me this morning. I don't know if it was heartfelt. I don't know where it came from because I wasn't there. It was through text message.
First of all, you don't know if it was heartfelt.
But I felt it's so rare.
You are talking to a serial non-apologizer. So whenever I do apologize, it's because I'm sincerely sorry.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So today it was, but sometimes it's really tough getting apologies out of you.
Yeah, it's been tough. I'm not in denial about that. I've been very upfront and candid about that.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so what we were talking about last week, we were talking and discussing apologies, and we shut down on a lot of the stuff that we did cover last week. But we need to move forward so we can get to the second part 2, which everybody's looking for.
Okay.
Because what I wanted to do is I did some research, and we'll get to my research a little bit later. I did some research on what it's like in comparisons for men apologizing versus women. And I did some extensive research, and we'll discuss my research.
You did extensive research.
Yes.
That's the right word you want to use, extensive.
It was pretty extensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Great Apology Challenge.
Okay.
Can you guess what it is?
Nope.
You can't guess?
I can guess. The apology challenge is go find somebody that you need to apologize to.
No, it's defensiveness.
Oh, I'm thinking like the ice bucket challenge and like the dance challenge. You mean challenges in terms of apologizing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
The Great Apology Challenge.
Okay. All right. That I can get.
Remember when Ed was over here for breakfast the other day and you got really defensive? Because we were confronting you about something. I forget what we were talking about, but we were confronting you and then you got all defensive. And you said, I'm not defensive. And I said, yes, you are. I don't like your tone. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
You didn't apologize. I'm still waiting on an apology for that.
What should I mean, okay, well, I just
for being defensive.
I need to apologize for being defensive?
Mm-hmm. It's a thing. It's a real thing. So
hold on for a second. So my defensiveness, so me being defensive, how does that hurt you?
What do you mean? How does it hurt? Okay, when you need to.
So if you attacking me and I put up my dukes, I need to apologize for putting my dukes up. To defend myself?
That's the word you're going to use? Attack?
Defensive.
Attack? You're going to use attack. I was attacking you?
You said you and Ed was challenging me.
I did not say we were challenging you. I said we confronted you about something.
Okay, confront, challenge, fight, same words.
No, Holton, no.
It's not.
Okay, so when a person has an issue with your behavior in some kind of way, what do you call it when they are telling you, I'm not happy about something that you did, it hurt me, I'm disappointed, it inconvenienced me, or whatever. I mean, what do you call that? It's a confrontation, right?
Yeah, you're confronting, yeah.
Yeah, so we were discussing with you something that we didn't like that you did, and you became defensive.
Okay, all right. So, well, according to the research, can I have some time to think about it?
No, you can't have any time because we have to move on. So this is what I want to say.
Sorry.
Defensiveness is the arch enemy of listening.
Okay.
An apology is not a true heartfelt apology unless you have really listened to what the other person has to say, and that you have acknowledged their hurt, their pain, their inconvenience, or whatever it is that they're hurt over. You know, if you don't listen, it doesn't count. If you don't listen really well. So what gets in the way of truly listening is being defensive, like you were being.
Okay.
Do you see how if there's an issue that arises, it can arise between friends, between coworkers, between married people, I don't know, family members, anybody. And if I come to you and I have a challenge with something that you've done, but you don't listen, you already, because I'm honest about this. I have an all-star defense team. So whenever somebody confronts me about something, I mean, I got a stellar defense going. Okay. However, that is not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do, and it gets in the way of a heartfelt apology. How are you going to apologize for something or really be sorry when you won't even listen?
That's true. I think that's true. Yeah, I think it's true.
I mean, do you see that? Do you recognize that trait in yourself?
Is this about me?
No, I'm just asking you a question. I'm asking for a friend. I'm actually asking for a friend.
So this session is about putting me on blast?
No, I'm trying to give the people a real life example.
You and Jolanda, and I see Tamara up there saying I'm being defensive right now.
Oh, that's what she said. Girl.
You know what I need? I need some more budget to this production.
No, you don't need any more, but answer the question.
So we can block some of the people on social media.
Yeah. Answer the question.
Yeah, I think it can be an issue if a person is defensive to a heartfelt apology, but I don't think we were at the moment of me or you apologizing. We were having dialogue back and forward, and you and Ed was jumping on me, and so it was 2-on-1.
That is not right.
It was 2-on-1, and I was just defending myself. So yeah, I could have been defensive. Yes.
No, not could have been. You were defensive.
Yes. Acknowledgement. I was
defensive.
I was defensive, defending my point or my perspective in a manner that made you feel that I was being defensive.
No, you were being defensive.
Okay.
You're being defensive. And all I'm trying to tell you, when there is an issue and you really want to solve the issue, when you care about someone and you care about their feelings, you care about how you treat them or the experience that they have with you,
right? Being
defensive gets in the way. Because how am I really going to understand your perspective and have an opportunity to accept responsibility for what I did if I won't even hear you out? So why are people defensive?
Well, people are defensive for multiple reasons. Okay. Most times people are defensive as a cover up for guilt. Okay. True. Guilt can be one of the things that they're covering up. They're also defensive as a mechanism of deflection. True. Because we want to deflect and we want to bring something else up. But the number one reason for defensiveness is the unwillingness to accept responsibility.
Right. And the thing of it is, it's really tough to sit and listen to someone criticize you or tell you, just challenge your behavior in some sort of way. So sometimes when we don't know how to separate our person from our behavior, we take it personally. So now we're defensive and we have to, because this is an attack on our self-image or our sense of self-worth. So that's true.
We only have we only do this show for an hour. So this book, we're not going to get through all this whole book.
Yeah, but I'm going to go through this fast. So,
okay, all right. I just want to let the people know.
I think that when we are in
all these notes she prepared.
No, I'm thorough. So you know what? You always criticize me.
I'm not criticizing. Don't be defensive about your notes.
Touche. Okay, so anyway, I think that something that we can consider when we are being confronted and we don't like what the other person is saying, because that's difficult. It would be difficult for anybody. None of us want to feel like we would prefer to hold on to the image and the picture of our perfect self. Mm-hmm. And when someone breaks that armor and says, no, you were less than perfect. As a matter of fact, you did something to hurt me. I'm offended.
Right.
You know, that's difficult. So right. I think that when what I have been able to do with myself is just to press pause. Right. Because just give me a minute to take it in, and before I respond, before I get all offended, because you know I'll jump off the Burj Khalifa.
Yes, you will.
And then it's like DEFCON 5, mm-hmm. and then I just screwed the whole thing up. Right. So I think that's another strategy to guard against defensiveness. And I think the other thing is we have to pay attention to our body language, because I start getting hot. Mm-hmm. I need to fan, like I got to sit down. I might feel like I'm about to faint. And I feel like in that instance, the truth is I'm listening for what I disagree with. That's how you can catch defensiveness, because instead of listening to the person's perspective and trying to understand how you agree, when you're being defensive, you're listening for mistakes and facts. Mm-hmm. You're listening for exaggerations. Mm-hmm. You're listening for inaccuracies. Right. Instead of listening for the part that you can agree on.
Yeah, I was doing a little research, and my research shows that my defensiveness is not necessarily defensiveness. It was that I was advocating a different perspective.
What?
Yeah.
What, Holton?
You
know that's called justification.
It's not justification.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It totally is. Holton.
I did some research.
What's your source?
I'm telling you.
What's your source, Holton?
Listen, there's a book written by a guy named Timothy George, and that's one of the things that he says is that what's the difference between advocating a different perspective and defensiveness? Okay,
so what is it?
I just told you I was advocating a different perspective.
It's tone. I can easily say to you, here I understand what you're saying, Holton, but here's where we differ. And you would accept. Did I offend you when I just said that?
No.
Here's where we have a different perspective. Right. You're not going to be offended because my tone is right. When you were in here talking to me and Ed, the tone was all off, and I even brought that to your attention. I said, Holton, you're being defensive.
Okay. And maybe I was being defensive.
No, not maybe.
Okay.
You were.
All right. Okay. I admit it. I was defensive.
Okay. And see how long it took you to accept that? We could have been all at that point.
No. I'm just saying, but you weren't looking for an apology at that time.
I mean, maybe I wasn't looking necessarily for an apology, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't have apologized for being completely wrong and defensive.
Okay. So I apologize.
Oh, that's nice, Holton. That's nice. Mm-hmm. Tone is everything. Okay. And I think the other thing about being defensive, sometimes when you're being confronted, and I'm going to speak for myself. It's hard, especially when, your emotional triggers have been activated in any kind of way, or, let's say you have your son or daughter say, Mom, I don't think you've been a good parent or something. And, in your mind, it's like, oh, I'm a failure. So then you become defensive and you start trying to, promote your better self instead of listening to what the person said. Right. And I think sometimes you really need to stop and thank the person for caring enough to tell you the truth or to tell you how they feel, because how often are we in a situation with the people?
Yeah, that's okay. Now we talked about this last week.
Yeah, we did talk about this, and this is where we differ.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay. All right.
I didn't even get my point out because you interrupted me, but okay.
You know what? I did interrupt you. Go ahead and finish your point.
So what I was going to say is one of the strategies that can help with defensiveness is thanking the other person for bringing the point up to you, because it is very difficult to have enough courage to confront someone, especially a child with a parent or sometimes a spouse or something like that. It's difficult. So even if you don't want to respond right then and you're not ready to apologize yet, you can at least thank them for the conversation, because it's difficult. The last thing we want to do is to confront people, especially the people who are non-confrontational. It's not an issue for me because I'm a very confrontational person, but most people aren't, and it's very difficult for them.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay, go ahead and say what you got to say.
no. What I'm saying is this. I understand what you're saying, and I think what she's saying has a lot of validity to it. But I don't like coming. I'm not coming, and you got to know who you're talking to and who's listening.
Okay, that's good.
And as I told you before, this cookie cutter mold of, well, after I have been, whatever it's been, and somebody has read me my rights, and I'm going to, I thank you so much for allowing me to look inside myself. And man, I don't want to hear that stuff. No, I'm not saying all of that. I'm not. I'm just being honest.
Did I say anything remotely close to that?
You did the first time. I'm like,
I said sometimes to keep from getting defensive, if you are not ready to apologize yet for what the person has brought up, it would be a great thing to say so that you can have more time.
I'd rather just apologize. I'm not going to thank you for being able to look internal.
If you're being defensive, and
I'm keeping it real, people. I'm keeping it real.
What are you apologizing for, Holton? You don't even know because you haven't listened. You were defensive the whole time.
Right.
You weren't listening, so you don't even. So you just going to. That's not a heartfelt apology, because you're not really sorry. You're just trying to shut the other person up and move on. That's not a real.
No. I would rather apologize than. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do that, but that's not reality. That is
reality for some people. It may not be reality for you.
Okay, well, people right now are just trying to get to the point of understanding how to make an apology. All of this introspective looking at oneself, it's not necessarily reality.
Holton, it is reality. It is reality, and it is better. I would rather somebody say, you know what, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'd like some extra time to think about it, than to get defensive and not listen.
No, now that part I understand, but the part of, I appreciate you bringing this. I appreciate you bringing me all of my faults about this issue so that I can look down and grow and become better.
Oh my God. I just see that's part of being defensive because you're minimizing this whole thing.
No, I'm not minimizing it. No, I'm not. But that's what we talked about.
And quite honestly, a person who, especially if it's an important issue to a person.
Right.
If you missed a graduation, maybe you missed a wedding, maybe, I don't know, something that maybe it was only a once in a lifetime kind of thing, hopefully, they could be really affected by it. And so the fact that before you just jump off the Burj Khalifa, you at least say, look, I appreciate you telling me, bring this to my attention because I really didn't know. Some people, you will do things, they will be offended, they will carry that resentment around with them like it's a cult and won't even tell you. I would prefer to know. You would prefer to know? Yes, I would, honey.
Okay. Well, good. Well, you know what? But this is why I'm glad to know that, because I have a different rule.
Okay.
And see, here's the thing I want you guys to understand. I told you about, most of us grew up with the golden rule, and the parents taught us treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
Well, in our household, we use the platinum rule. You treat people the way they want to be treated. Okay. So if that's how you want to be treated, that's how I will conduct myself. When it comes to those issues with you, and I will bring them to your attention because you want the opportunity to be able to grow, and I'm going to give you a lot of opportunities to grow. Okay? No, I'm just saying, I'm keeping it real.
I know the words come together nicely, but it doesn't feel right. I'm just telling you.
I think we have some questions. Let's see if we have any questions here. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. Now, because babe, we can't go through all, we can't. We only have 15 minutes. We've got to keep it moving.
I know, I'm not trying to go through, don't worry about my notes.
Okay. Now, here's a question. Mm-hmm. Not a question, but my comment for Mrs. Buggs. I asked my husband to get me some flour, and he came back with coconut flour. Is this a great coconut flour conspiracy? See?
Oh my God, he probably was watching the show. I blame you.
No.
Because you have been a bad example.
No, the man that's a subtle way of saying, hey, I like to have some coconut shrimp versus just regular fried shrimp.
No, that is not. I don't know. I'm really sorry. I blame my husband.
So let me see here. I don't have a message from Tunde here. Okay. I told you budgets got cut. Did we fire Tunde from the budget?
I don't know. We're always firing Tunde for something. So.
Okay. Anyway, but that's the only question that we have so far. So now, if you have questions, send them in here, and we'll go from here on the questions. Anything else you want to say? Because I want to share with people my perspective on apologies from men and apologies from women.
Okay. I want to talk. Yes. One last thing. I want to talk about if you really want to solicit an apology from someone, because I know, like I said, I have been guilty of this. When somebody, I have an issue, I'm already pissed, so my attitude is all jacked up already, and I go the complete wrong way. So if you are really wanting an apology, is there some truth to the fact that you have to go the right way? You have to go with in a respectful way if you really want an apology from
someone. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. From my perspective, and I know, the desire for apologies are different. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I'm not a person who's going to ask somebody for an apology.
Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate.
Right.
You shouldn't have, because don't nobody want to be told what to do.
Right. Because I don't think you should ask for an apology. I think you should present your case to a person so that they can clearly understand the violations that they feel about your actions.
Okay.
And if they understand what those violations are, then that's when the apology should come. But I'm not going to ask you, hey, you need to apologize to me. You need to apologize. You need to apologize. Because the act of an apology is not what rebuilds trust. It's the sincerity, as we talked about it.
And it's what happens after.
Right. It's the sincerity of the apology and the reconditioning of the actions that allows rebuilding of trust.
That's true.
To come with the apology. But so you can't go demanding an apology. And it's just like me personally, I think our world has come to a point of, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I think this world has come to a point of coddling so many people around the world. And I think we're making so many people weak, because what we will do is someone will say something and a group or a person or this institution will go and demand an apology from someone or from a group of people or whatever it is, an institution or organization or an individual. Okay. I see people we demand an apology. Well, is it that you're really demanding an apology, or you want to show the type of control that you have?
Okay, that's fair, but we are not perfect. Okay, we are all human. We screw up from time to time. Mm-hmm. We make mistakes, and we do need to honor the people that we love and honor our relationships by apologizing. And if you do something that offends someone, I do feel that, now the research shows that you should never demand an apology, of course, because nobody wants to be told what to do. That's fair. But there are times when we ought to not leave it up to someone else to tell us that we need to apologize. You shared with us last week that you really do know when you've done something wrong. Whether or not you want to admit it is one thing. But
right.
but if you're not a narcissist, you know when you have offended someone.
Right, exactly. And so, from the apology standpoint, you shouldn't have to solicit it, in my opinion. You know when you've done something wrong. But we have to talk about that, because some people feel that they have to always demand an apology.
Yeah, well, that's not, you don't demand an apology. That is not how you solicit a heartfelt apology.
No, it's not, because I think some apologies, in my opinion, can be, like I said, can be used for mechanisms of control. Let me show you how much power or manipulation. Yeah, for sure. So I think apologies are something that they should be sincere, and when you've done something, and if a person doesn't apologize, depending on what it is, then you kind of know who you're dealing with.
Well, yeah, but you do take a risk if you're in a relationship with what Harriet calls an entrenched non-apologizer, because you are going to come across those people in life who they're never going to care about how they hurt you. They're never going to care about your feelings. They are never, ever going to offer a heartfelt apology. Like, they are just never going to do right by you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those are the people in your family, because remember, we talked about that too, that we do have to have boundaries for even family, because family are the ones that have the greatest capacity to hurt us.
Right.
So when what advice do you have for a person that's dealing with somebody that is never going to accept responsibility, that is never going to try to see your side, that is never going to really have a heartfelt apology?
Well, it's kind of like what I said last week. is that typically you're going to have an apology from a person who does not resemble or possess narcissistic tendencies. And if you're in a relationship with someone who will never see your side, who never sees that they've done anything wrong, who never wants to apologize because they can't even fathom the fact that something that they've done is wrong, you've got to now start doing some of your own inventory of the value that you have in this relationship. Because, as I mentioned, the apology allows you to go back to the top of trust,
right?
A heartfelt apology. Well, that's one of the ways.
And change behavior.
Right, and change behavior.
Right, yeah.
So when you know that you don't have that, and an apology also allows you to move forward in the relationship, and you in a relationship with a person who can't recognize any wrongdoings, it means that both of you are going to be in what I call a hamster-like relationship. And what I mean,
dysfunctional.
Well, dysfunctional, but a hamster-like relationship is like a hamster on a wheel. There's going to be a lot of action and a lot of activities that take place, but no progress.
Right.
Because you're going to harbor resentment because the other person who never gets apologized to, trust me, those wounds are still open, and you're not going to be able to provide what is required to heal.
Well, I think one of the main things, I have two things that I want to say about this, and then we can move on to your example. The first thing is the same characteristics that make an entrenched non-apologizer offend people, because those are the people who do the most damage. Mm-hmm. The people who have the lowest self-esteem, the people who do the really bad things, the really egregious things. They operate at other people's expense. Those are the very same people who can't offer a heartfelt apology for that same reason. They have low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And the one of the things that was most powerful about this research, we can feel like an apology makes us less than, that it makes us vulnerable, that it makes us small. Sometimes we don't want to do it because we don't want to put ourselves out there because we are afraid of backlash or afraid that we won't be respected. But the truth of the matter is, it takes a highly evolved person, a person with a high self-esteem, to be able to draw from to offer a heartfelt apology. So when you're dealing with someone who just cannot apologize, all that is low self-esteem. That's the same reason why they're making the offenses, mm-hmm. and it's also the same reason why they can never make the offenses right. And
narcissism comes
right.
from low self-image.
Right.
It comes from low self-image, but it's portrayed as if that the self-image that they think much greater of themselves.
Arrogance.
Right.
But
arrogance, right. The root of arrogance is really low self-esteem. Right. So I have to make myself here. And the only reason I won't apologize is because I feel like an apology makes me a smaller person.
Right. When actually you got to be a much bigger person to admit when you're wrong. And it's the basis for great character and integrity, when you can right your wrongs. None of us can live in this world as human beings and not make mistakes and not do stupid things, not operate at other people's expense. You're going to make mistakes. But the question is, can you make it right? And sometimes forgiveness isn't warranted. And sometimes reconciliation isn't possible. Sometimes you just have to, you've got to realize that you're in a relationship with somebody that possesses narcissistic tendencies, mm-hmm. or that you're just not equally yoked with a person. That's true.
Well, yeah. I think it's a great thing, and then we'll move on with some questions, because I want to take some questions here, and feed the people here, mm-hmm. Because sometimes a person apologizes, and the apology may appear to be sincere. And it may as well might be sincere.
Okay.
But apologies are also used in some cases to move back instead of forward. Let me explain what I mean.
Okay.
I used to hang out with you. I did something stupid. Uh-huh. I apologize so that we can go back to hanging out. And you may accept my apology, but now you want to move forward. Mm-hmm. What do I mean by that? Is sometimes when you apologize, and I'm talking to the apologist here, and everybody had an assignment. We said, bring somebody to the call that you owe an apology to, right? So I'm talking to the apologist here. when you accept a person's apology, it doesn't mean that things have to go back to the way that they were.
They used to be, right?
Okay. An apology is designed to be able to move forward. And some people, I'll accept their apology, but me moving forward, you're no longer in the same position or the same seat in my life as I move forward. I don't hold any ill feelings or resentment towards you, but I'm now moving forward in my life, specifically if apologies have taken some time, you know, because every incident.
Or if they haven't been sincere, a person can say, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Right, exactly.
It means nothing.
But but now you're just able to move forward, you know. So
I love that. I love that. I think one last thing I want to talk about this topic.
We need to go on some questions. We have 10 minutes left.
Okay, but one other question. Accepting an apology. Okay. When you accept an apology, thank you, I really appreciate it, is all that needs to be said. I have been in situations where I have apologized to someone, and instead of them just accepting and in the apology corner, letting it be a standalone conversation, they wanted to rehash. Yeah, well, I know you're sorry, but you know, I hope that you won't do this insensitive thing again. And you know, you really hurt me and blah blah. And all. Ma'am, didn't I just apologize? I mean, we were supposed to be moving forward. So you have to, I mean, giving an apology and understanding when we have to apologize is something that's really important, but also learning how to accept an apology. When it is a heartfelt apology, thank you, I appreciate it, is all that needs to be said.
And here's a point. You're absolutely right, but I want to add something to it. Okay. I want you to make sure as well. Now, once you apologize, it doesn't eradicate or erases the hurt that you've done.
Exactly.
It just it gives the ability for trust to be repaired, as I mentioned, to be able to go back, okay, on top. So too quick of an apology, you're probably still going to get some of the stuff. So if I come in and you tell me, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, you hurt my feelings yesterday, blah 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 blah. You know, babe, I apologize. Well, I need to first ask her questions. Can you explain to me in detail what the issues were and what did I do to cause you harm?
Right.
Now let her vent.
Right.
And then I apologize. But if I'm too quick to apologize, she's going to resent the apology, and then she's going to come back because you really. And now I'm going to feel like, well, I don't apologize already. Why you keep bringing this up? Well, I didn't give her a chance. I didn't even accept all of what took place. Kind of like this when she talked about the defensiveness part. Well, let me see what made you feel that I was being defensive. And let me listen to the entire thing. Why? Because now that you've gotten it all out and then I apologize and I'm sincere about it, there's nothing else to give. And so whoever's giving the apology, make sure if they've really given you the opportunity to express to them, give it.
And if they really understand, it's not an apology really doesn't count if you don't really understand what you did and what you're sorry for. So that has to be that way. So okay, we have some questions yet?
We're out of time.
We're out of time already.
Yep. See, see this is what I'm talking about?
So fast. We need to add 15 more minutes.
Yeah, but we can't do that every week. Because every week we have to apologize to the audience for coming in and taking up their time.
No, maybe we should increase it a little bit.
No, we don't need to increase.
You're a little long-winded because I have some other things I want to talk about, but
I'm long-winded? Hold on for a second. No. That's another, hold on. I make it rain. You make it rain up here with all of these pages. All of this stuff over here.
Before it's over, you're going to owe me an apology.
And I'm long-winded?
Yeah, you're long-winded.
I don't think so.
Absolutely long-winded.
We're going to take a couple questions. But before we take any questions, I did some research on men and women apologizing.
Did you?
Yes. I do my research too. You're not the only smart one in here.
What's the source of your research?
Okay. All right. Mark, play my research.
would disagree.
I don't think so.
That is not true.
I think it's the truth. Fellas, where you at,
That is
fellas?
not true. That is not
Fellas,
true.
where are you?
That is not
Right?
true.
So now, are there any questions that we got? Let's see if there's some questions that we got, because I know, let me see here. There were some questions on here. Some people asked some questions on Facebook. Let's see here. Where are the questions here real quick? Because we need to at least answer a question. So I said part two. Not doing a part. Mark, you got a question?
Yeah, they're on your phone.
Oh, where? I don't see them. Read them. Okay. What issues should be a let go versus require an apology?
Well, I think that's a personal choice, to be honest with you. I mean, we talked about being if it's a first offense, if they're a first offender or they committed a first demeanor, I think you could probably let that go. When you're dealing with a serial offender and we keep having the same issue over and over again, I think that warrants a deeper discussion and most certainly, in most cases, an apology.
Yeah, my philosophy is this. The first time you do something, it's a mistake. The second time you do something, it's your plan. And then when you have a plan on bad behavior, that's when the reconditioning has to take place. So you can let go of a mistake, something, but a plan, you can't just let a plan go, because the plan continues in action. And so we can recondition that behavior, that bad behavior of that particular plan, so that we have a different plan. We
have another question there.
Okay, another question here. Somebody said, all right, Mark, or where is it here? When it comes to apologizing, does it really matter who says it first and how it comes out, just as long as you love each other? No,
yes,
it
does matter.
Yeah, it matters. Right. It does matter. It's not about just as long as you love each other. Okay. Let me share with you why. All right. Because love is not a feeling. Love is action. And I tell people all the time, if you think your marriage is going to survive because you love her or you love him, you should go ahead and call an attorney right now.
No.
No, I'm being serious.
Okay, it's not going to survive.
It ain't going to survive.
That's true.
Because those are feelings. Feelings change. Mm-hmm. She's not like me before. I've always loved her. And I've always liked her.
That's not true.
I've always liked you. There was only like 20 minutes that I didn't like you.
Oh, okay.
In the last 30 years we've been together, right?
So does it matter who's wrong? It shouldn't, but unfortunately, the way that we operate sometimes, we think that it does. But when you're talking about an apology should not take into account who is more wrong, who is less wrong, who did what to who. When the moment you realize that you have done something that was out of character or out of line or offensive, you should apologize. It shouldn't matter if the other person started it. That's what the research says. Now, I'm not always perfect at that, because when I calculate my percentage, if somebody else is more wrong than I am, I really think they should be apologizing first. But that's actually not the right thing.
I don't want you teaching the people.
I was just being honest. It's very difficult for me, but the truth is, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't, because it's not a competition. Remember.
Well, you just told us the other week that it's always competition.
Apologies are not competition.
Oh, okay.
Apologies, and who beats who to apologize. Because if you're not apologizing because they haven't apologized to you, then you're not sincere, even when you apologize. So you got to remember, guys, if you're coming from a place of insincerity at the core, it doesn't matter what you say or do. So my apology to her has nothing to do with her doing right by me.
That's true.
I already told you the apology is to her, but it's for me. So when I have done wrong, okay, what is it, Einstein, or is it what's the philosopher name? Shakespeare. To thine own self be true.
Okay.
So when you've done something wrong. And let me share something with you. When you've done something wrong and everybody else knows it and you don't acknowledge it, you're not hurting them, you're hurting yourself. Here's what happens. Internally, there's something in you that needs to tell the truth, that needs to be free. How do I know? I watch First 48. It's my guilty pleasure. And those guys love to give themselves up. After they're in the room, they will get, I can look at them and tell when they start doing their shirts like this and stuff like that, and they start getting cold, I'm like, you about to get 30 years because you're about to give it up. We want to tell the truth. And then when you don't, it eats you alive. And so when you apologize and you come forward with your truth of sorrow, it frees this thing inside of you that will eat you away. It eliminates that stress by being able to tell someone, I am sorry. So I am, yes, her feelings are now feeling much better. She can now trust me again, but that apology was for me.
Right.
I freed me. She's not trapped.
Right, and the truth is, you know, functional relationships require an atmosphere where you can make mistakes, you can own up to them, you can apologize, and you can move forward. Because a relationship would never be functional if you can't trust that you can mend an offense once it takes place. So when you're dealing with somebody that refuses to apologize or never wants to accept responsibility when they do things, or is going to give you a half-blood apology, that's just not going to work. And you have to decide, am I in a relationship where a functional relationship where I can hurt and accept responsibility, and I can hurt someone else and accept responsibility, and I can be hurt and they can accept responsibility, and we can move forward, because that's what healthy people do.
It is.
Yes.
It is what we do, right?
I'm proud of you, honey.
You proud of me?
Yeah, you did good.
I'm proud of you too. Do I get an apology?
What am I sorry for?
Put my business in the street.
What business of yours did I put? You put my business in the street week after week.
Yeah, but you don't care about it. I care.
I do care. You made it rain with my notes, Holton. That was just very offensive. I mean.
But do I get an apology?
No, I'm not apologizing for that.
You not?
No.
See what I'm talking about? All the research sometimes doesn't work. So my last piece of research that I have done is, this is why I know that men are better.
Are better than what?
At apologizing than women are. I'm sorry, I'm not being a sexist, but today
you totally are being.
I have to speak up for my men, because you guys, or you ladies, right? You have a theme about apologies. Mark, let it play, Mark.
Oh my God, Holton.
You're trying to roll me up.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Guys, be safe, be mindful. Remember, get all sides of the information. Make your own choice, make your own decision. Don't let the news media make a decision for you. It's your life. You make your decision, but just be mindful. You guys stay safe. We love you. Can't wait to see you next Sunday.
Happy apologizing. Boom.
Bye-bye.